it's 6 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Permanent Building Committee on Monday, March 25th, 2024. All members are present. Our new member who is waiting for approval from the school committee is here to find out what he's getting himself into. Also, select person Hornsby is here. Is there any other, Cindy Allhead's on Zoom. 3 representatives, our OPM and our architects are here. I'm here. So let's get started. The first thing is, Mark sent us the minutes, I believe, yesterday or the day before, right on time. Because they're so extensive, you don't give us much time to read them. I'll accept the motion to accept the meeting minutes.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Seconded, I don't care who. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, thank you. Correspondence and mail. I can't remember and don't remember getting anything, other than notified about the town meeting, I think is about the only thing I got from the town. As far as my report, we found out that we have, Bob Kimball has sent his name into the select board to fill our open position. He got approved by the select board, but it takes the select board and the school committee, so we're waiting for the school committee to approve him. I did meet with him and bring him some paperwork so he could start the logs in his fireplace with it. And he's here tonight to help us. I said we had questions about the plaque because of Bob Maderas' passing. We weren't sure how his name should appear on the plaque, so I got that straightened out by his family. So 3 flagpoles was at the last meeting, right? And the Council on Aging, we went round and round about the brick. First, we weren't gonna do the brick because they couldn't be engraved. Then we went to the person who made the brick, and I guess they do engraving now, so we're back to using the brick in the back patio. I did my weekly meetings. Nothing exciting happened there that I can remember. And that's about it for my report. And I think I'll turn the meeting over to Steve.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Good evening, everyone. As always, I'll start off with the Senior Community Center progress. Since our last meeting on February 26th, siding is complete, our gutters are installed. They've continued with the plumbing, HVAC, fire protection, and electrical roughings. Sheet rock and taping is ongoing. Prime painting has started. Acoustical ceiling grid has started. The toilet room ceramic tile has started. Door frames, they're actually nearly complete with the installation of the door frames. Some they had to redo. They started the gravel base for the parking lot. The condenser pad, staff entry concrete pad, sidewalk, the dumpster pad have been poured. They continued with the septic structures and the piping for the septic system. The septic pump testing is ongoing, and some issues with the first test, and they are now ready for the second test. National Grid installed the poles. The power duct bank has been extended to the poles. We are now waiting for the transformer from National Grid. At this point, SEVA is approximately 65% complete through February of this year, and we are still waiting for the pole from Verizon for telecommunications.
Can I ask,
Yes,
does Verizon give you a date, or are they?
I'm sorry.
Did Verizon give you a date for that pole, or are they still?
They did not give me a date. They are, the point of contact is checking with their ops team
So,
to get a date for me.
is there anything we can do to push that along, that you think, I mean, it might help, or?
I would hazard to guess the email campaign that we did for National Grid may have to be the same thing. I've sort of added people to the emails, but without getting, overstepping my bounds, so to speak. But we're also doing the same thing with National Grid, because they, it was great, they got us the poles there, and then now we're waiting for a transformer, so we still don't have permanent power. And we are periodically chasing them for updates. Photodoc, first couple photos, most of these are from last week. Photo on the left is the pad and sidewalk on the service side of the building. Those stands, although they're not in their final locations, but those are the condensing unit fans for the air conditioning system. You can see all the disconnect switches that are set up on the exterior wall. All this area will have air conditioning equipment in it, and this is for staff entrance. Generator over here and the dumpsters off the page. Photo on the right is their contractor prepping for the parking lot on the opposite side of the building, south side. Next photo
Can I
on
ask
the
you a
left.
question?
Yes.
The pads that they put in, somebody was here a couple weeks ago measuring the shed to put a pad down for that. Do you know where
Yes.
that's going? Is that going on that service staff side of the
Yes,
building?
correct.
Okay,
Yep.
beautiful. Thank you.
Yep. We suggested they make sure they knew what the size was.
Perfect, thank
Okay,
you.
board.
Yeah, they were excited when they moved.
Yep. Photo on the left is a view of the multi-purpose room facing towards the lobby, showing the sheetrock and taping is underway. The ceiling actually gets an acoustical ceiling. That grid has not been installed yet. Photo on the right is their delivery of wood doors, staged and ready to be hung at the appropriate time. Which is up there. Next page, photo on the left is the ceramic tile, porcelain tile going in the toilet rooms. They've got most of the floor tile down. They have started working on wall tile. Photo on the right is the corridor facing the lobby, and this is the fireplace enclosure at the edge of the cafe on the right. It's showing that, again, sheetrock taping, ceiling work is ongoing. Next two photos is the electric room showing switchgear installation. Obviously, in order to get power into the building, once a transformer is installed, all of this has to be installed, all the wires pulled in and identified. And that work has been ongoing. Next photo on the left is just the start of the ceiling grid in the office suite area. Photo on the right is the septic system, the actual septic field itself. This is at on the back side of the senior center. Any questions on progress today?
It makes the septic system look massive in that photo, doesn't it?
It's not small.
Field is pretty big.
Yeah.
It just looks huge.
Steve, as you went through, I remembered a couple of things. I'd just like to add that the president of New England Ice Cream through Bob Briscoe, Bob Briscoe and the president showed up at the site about 2 weeks ago. He had stated that he was gonna give some kind of donation, and so we gave him a walkthrough, and he was very interested in where we had freezes and what we had freezes. I did not hear anything more. I don't know if Bob has an update on that or what, nothing.
No.
And the second thing is, the fire chief was talking with the president of Yale Electric, and he made mention of donations of equipment for the commercial kitchen and whatever we needed in the senior center. And we brought it up to the contractors, but they have already ordered and have somewhere stored all the equipment for the commercial kitchen, so we could not accept their generous donation. But we will be going back because we do not have any equipment for the food pantry, so the food pantry needs 2 refrigeration units and 2 freezers, so we might be going back to them for the utilities or whatever we need in the food pantry. And that's the only thing that you refresh my memory on.
And actually, the town hall has some appliances that we're,
Yeah,
that
okay,
they
yeah,
may be able to accommodate.
back to you. Yep,
I have
yes,
a quick question. We talked about the bricks earlier, and you talked about engraving
Right.
them. Is the engraving process gonna happen before the installation, or are we gonna take them out one at a time whenever somebody donates? 'Cause if- So
I'll-
which one?
I'll answer that.
Oh, go ahead.
So-
And then I'll refer to Bob because his group is doing it. As far as I know, they come in blocks of 8 in like a Pepsi case, and you can take them out, and as you get donors, you take them out and send them to the engraver and come back.
Yep.
So my understanding is we will install all 2,700,000, no, all how many bricks there are, because we really don't have a number yet. And then as the Council on Aging gets the donations lined up, they will send them to the Aztec people.
So they'll take out a certain number of them to have them engraved and brought back?
Right.
Back in, all right.
What-
So
what
what do
they-
we do in the interim? Because I'm just worried about somebody takes out 200 of them, now we have a big patch of no bricks. There's
I don't
gotta be a.
think-
No,
I
they'll
don't
get
think-
all the bricks.
I don't think we're gonna do that. I think we're
Okay.
gonna take them out.
Okay. I was just-
And what,
Thought I'd bring it up,
what
that's all.
Walpole did is they got, I believe they got 2 extra sets of bricks, of 8
That's
pack
what I'm
of
saying,
bricks.
as long as you get extras,
So
just swap them
that
out.
as you order them, you send out the spare. There's
8 at a
never
time.
a hole in the patio. As you get the donation, you send out your spares. And when the other ones come back, you take
Swap them
out
back
the
out.
ones in the patio and put them as spares until
Okay.
your next
I just
rotation.
wasn't sure how many spares we had, that's all.
How many, yeah.
Spares?
10% maybe?
I think there were like 27 extras.
Okay. Well, it should be a decent amount. Okay.
How many total bricks do you have for the patio?
I have no idea what the total is. I think we had 27 extra was the number that was kicking around.
Way less than my 27
Which should be
million.
more than enough to do what you just
Exactly,
described.
as long as they know do them in sections, that's all.
Okay, it's you, Steve.
Back to me?
Yep.
Okay, so, senior center, look ahead schedule, now that the weather's getting a little bit warmer, they gotta complete their exterior sealant work, start the exterior painting on the trim, install the downspouts, start the MEPFP finishes, complete the electrical switchgear and coordinate with National Grid for permanent power, complete sheet rock and taping, continue the interior paint, continue ceramic tile, continues the ceiling grid and ceiling tiles, install the ship's ladder to get you up to the attic space, pour the concrete for the front entry walks and the rear patio. Right now they have those formed and the rebar installed. Those might be getting poured this week. Complete the septic system, grade around the building and spread loam. They've got the basins out front that have to be formed, which means they're gonna have to move their storage area out of the way. Continue underground site utilities, site lighting, drainage and basins. and then getting Ingrid to set the transformer, putting the wiring in front of the power. And again, the Verizon pole is to be determined.
Yes, Bob Briscoe.
Do they have the pad for the sign already? Have you put the pad in for this new sign?
No, not yet.
So they're not gonna run the cable and stuff out there to the,
They've been issued a CCD to do that work, and we already have the conduits coming out of the building. It's underground work that has to be done. For the digital side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So project schedule. When I wrote this up, we didn't have their response to our recovery schedule, which we got this morning. But their previous schedule had their substantial completion date at 4/21 and final completion at 5/21. Again, we're basing their percentage complete. Project team did not anticipate SEBA completing, which we went over at the last meeting, completing to the contractual completion dates. DPW sent a letter of notice to SEBA on the 21st, requesting their recovery schedule and acceleration of the project, which included additional manpower and overtime. We did receive a response today from SEBA. Hasn't been reviewed at length, but there are some issues with their response.
And in the month between, nothing extra happened.
Yeah, there was
in terms of manpower.
no additional manpower. As a matter of fact, in some cases.
Or overtime.
The site guy was not on site. He's there now, he's actually working late today, but we have to respond to that response that was sent today. But one of the things that they have brought up, as a sort of low-hanging fruit, is the fact that we don't have permanent power and we don't have the Verizon pole, which, I get it, if I was in issues, I'd bring up the same issue.
However, the building is nowhere near,
Correct.
nor
There
is
should
the
be.
site anywhere near the 4/21 date. So,
4/21
that's
is
our
less than a
major
month
issue
away.
with it.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't deduct the 2 weeks that we tell them by contract to deduct for punch list. So really, they need to be done 2 weeks earlier than that. So to answer your question again, that's why we made that statement earlier.
Right. If I
Yes.
had a crystal ball, which I don't,
Mark,
So what's the response gonna be to them?
well, right off the bat, we looked at the schedule that was accompanied the letter, and even after telling them, there was dates that were incorrect on the,
Actual dates.
yeah, that should have been an as-built schedule with accelerated dates for things that they hadn't done. When we looked at it, they had, if you recall, we allowed them to start early. Instead of starting on March 27th, they actually started about February 20th with mobilization, fencing, removal of trees,
Abatement.
abatement, and erosion control. They have everything starting on their schedule as March 27th. So the schedule itself is not accurate. When I look down at some of the site work items, they had dates of site work being completed that have already passed. So it's not an accurate schedule. So we'll have to respond accordingly and reiterate the same things that we did before, that we're not waiving any of the rights that the town has under the contract, and that they should be accelerating the project inclusive of additional manpower and overtime at their expense. Now,
Which at this point amounts to 2.5 weeks.
but we also cannot let our foot off of National Grid and Verizon. Because in order for them to start equipment and get the building management system running and do commissioning, the equipment needs to be running. And we can't without permanent power. And we can't without fiber coming in for internet. Permanent power is the priority though. Nothing can be started without it. The temporary power isn't enough to start the meetings.
Brian?
Quick question, when was their established permanent power date in their baseline schedule? Do they have a date for it?
I'd have to look back. What they have now, I think, is April, in their recent schedule, they have April 6th.
Okay, and then two, you said they started in February, but contractual was March. We didn't take any time away, we just gave them extra time, right? You
Yes.
take-
But
okay.
we've said over and over again, you guys.
You have
it's
2
a
extra
negative
weeks or whatever it
time.
was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, an extra
Over a
month.
Month,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That they got a head start.
Yeah, they got
Not that they could
We
go
didn't take anything away
full
from them,
bore.
we just let them start early. That's all.
Correct, correct.
So it was in their best interest, and they wasted that month. I shouldn't say wasted it, but,
No, you're right,
yeah,
you're
I
right.
mean,
Yeah,
they're
they-
dragging their feet and they started early.
Right.
Yeah, they started 2 months early, and right away, they ran into a problem with asbestos around the furnace in the house that was there, that bogged them down. Was not our fault. It was the subcontractor they hired, bogged them down at least, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks, but that's not our fault, that falls on them. But that's
But we
That's
still
what,
let them start
one of my
early.
favorite
Yeah.
phrases is, they've been giving me death by 1,000 cuts. And that was probably cut number 1. And then there was 1,000 others that we kept reminding them. Bob kept giving them a list that I believe now is up to about 50. I call it the pre-construction punch list of my 1,000 cuts. And they still haven't gone through it. They will not admit they've gone through 3 different crews of OPMs and whatever within Seaver's contracting. Probably I'm giving away the secrets of what's going on, but sitting through a reconciliation billing meeting last week, they kept trying to take credit for stuff that was being done in March on the February bill that was caught by Ed and Bob and Stephen. You know, certain things that I knew were done in March, that they tried to say it was done in February. So they're trying to fudge the actual schedule based on what's going on today. Whatever they do today, let's talk about the ship's ladder. We get a 2-week look ahead. I call it the 2-week lie, because
Lie ahead.
there's nothing on the 2-week look ahead that's done in 2 weeks. I just got one today and I just shook my head. It's like moving the trailer. In order for the site guy to finish the site construction, the trailer has to be moved. And if you drive by tonight, the trailer is still and that's been on the 2-week look ahead for 3 weeks. That's another cut. And Steve's been reminding them, Bob reminds them. I call Bob Inspector Clouseau because he finds all the little things that they get driven crazy about. And I can see the obvious stuff that a naked eye can see. And, you know, to me, it's their fault, not our fault. National Grid is in there, but like Steve says, if they even got temporary power and hitched it up to what is in the building, it wouldn't prove to be satisfactory for what's done in the building. It would not make them more progressed in their schedule. I'm not trying to make excuses for National Grid, but I sort of threw up my hands. Once the 2 poles got in, I went, my fight's done here. I'm not even gonna go through the whole fight for the transformer. And we all thought Verizon came in, while the poles were going up for National Grid, Verizon came in, a Verizon guy, and marked where the pole was gonna be, which was almost in the center of the entrance way, but they were making arrangements for it. And I thought they'd be out within a couple of weeks, and I think it's been about 3 weeks since we got the poles, and we haven't seen hide nor hair of Verizon. The building inspector's been cooperating. I got wind at the senior breakfast that everybody thought the building was almost ready because half the fence was down, but half the fence was down because the wind blew it down, not because we took it down. And then the building inspector took them to task because they let the fence be down for a week, and he told them they only had 24 hours. And putting up a fence, anybody in this room could put up a fence, and they let it go for a week. And that's typical of their standard practice, but that's all I have to say to add fuel to the fire.
Well, just to add to that a little bit, is we did send them the preliminary DCAM evaluation, which was below 80, which is a fail. And that definitely got their attention, because I did get a call from Scott Seaver on it. And I went through the whole thing with him, and I said, you have the opportunity to bring this up again. You just need to concentrate on the project. And, I mean, of course, they said, obviously we will, they don't wanna have a bad mark, we're up usually in the 90s and so forth. So, I mean, I got the response was what you would want here.
But no
But we just gotta
follow-through.
make sure that it actually happens on the site. So that's why, Beth, we unfortunately, when you asked the question, when can I move in, we can't give you a good answer, because we don't want you planning anything around a false date.
And Beth won't tell you the answer I gave her, but I told her Labor Day, so.
I was gonna say, you're at least 3 or 4 months away.
3 or 4 months?
Based on this, yeah. That's what I would say.
I was talking in the building using it, not accepting the building and then have to go through the punch list and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's varying degrees of, I mean,
Of done.
we're looking to get occupancy. Occupancy doesn't mean that the punch list is gonna be 100% done. There may be closeout issues, but it has to be, number one, you have to get an occupancy or even a TCO from the building inspector, which means it has to have, if it's gonna be used by the COA and the food pantry, you have to have your ADA, you have to have your MAB, you have to have the parking done, your line striped, you know, all of that has to be complete.
All the life safety, all the
I mean,
systems.
if they double shifts, they could pull it off in 2 months, but I don't think they're gonna do it.
The building is not that big.
Yeah.
They have the ability to get it done, but you have 1 or 2 guys showing up for the crew. I mean, they did finally get up to 4 tapers, but that took 2 weeks, 3 weeks before that happened.
Well, and then they installed
And
that
then
to
they
try to
trace
go
and then
wrong.
they disappear again.
Yeah, we're catching them on, like I said, everything wrong.
Okay.
And they're fixing them, but very slowly. So that's the issue with the schedule. Change orders, essentially, we're still working through some change orders with them, so there's nothing that's really new in the change orders. I've put some potentials in just to try and maybe get us through the end of the job.
Those are the CCDs and the sidewalk?
Some of those, pardon?
Is that the CCDs and the sidewalk?
That's the side, yeah, correct. See, well,
The 100,000.
everything that hadn't been put into
Yeah.
a change order.
Right.
So, so we got 155,475 of things that have been submitted that are under review or maybe have been issued as a CCD. I put just another unsubmitted of 100,000, that's just a round number, placeholder, no real backup on it because, you know, the idea is that we don't really have that. But just to get to a point so that we know our contingency is still very good on the project for the construction at $682,000. So the budget is not a problem here, it's a schedule.
So it's not to hold them up, we issued 6 CCDs? 5, I forget how many there were, just to keep everything going of things that were necessary to finish.
Did they sign them?
No, but
But we thought we'd give them the authority to keep going if they needed to send a subcontractor a change order who's saying, I'm not gonna do anything without a piece of paper, that gave them the ability to do that. So anything else, any questions on the senior center before I go on to the town hall? Okay. Town hall construction progress, different general contractor. Wood framing punch lists is ongoing, it's getting close to being complete. Metal interior wall framing is ongoing, mostly on the second floor. Door frames, again, ongoing, most of them on the second floor at this point. The vaults installation is nearly complete. Spray foam insulation of the underside of the roof is complete. They're now working on the exterior walls at the perimeter of the building. Sheet rock installation has started and is ongoing. Roof shingles are now complete. Siding and trim has continued, and that's nearly complete. Fire protection, plumbing, HVAC, and electrical technology rough-ins are continuing. The septic field installation was on hold due to weather. The site work guy has come back, he's done a couple other things, but they'll be getting back on the septic field. To finish that work up, west stair, I should say footing, was installed this week. Last week. They're forming the stairs. They do have temporary heat ongoing, and Emerald Con is about 40% complete through February. So photo documentation, again, most of the photos are from last week. First photo on the left is progress in the entry lobby. Photo on the right is a view of the corridor facing the select board room. You can see wood framing, you can see the fire barrier, sheetrock, that's the upper ceiling. A lot of the electrical wiring is looped in, ready to be connected once ceiling grid is in. Next photo on the left is just a view of the spray foam insulation in one of the exterior walls on the first floor. Photo on the right is again some more of the utilities above the ceiling on the first floor. See your HVAC refrigeration lines insulated, those are the black lines. And there's a sprinkler rough-in. You've got ductwork, you've got wiring. Mechanical, electrical subs are doing a very good job in there. Next page, photo on the right is the wall framing up on the second floor where you have wood and metal framing. And the photo on the right is also framing on the second floor. That's in one of the main corridors facing the rooms. Next page, photo on the right is second floor framing along the corridor. The photo on the right is framing at the Conservation Parks Rec office on the second floor. See, they're going to be their transaction window opening. And next page, photo on the left is the Board of Health office. Again, on the second floor is a transaction opening in their office door there. Photo on the right is the concrete footing installation for the west stair that brings you from the parking lot on the west side of the building down to the lower level in the back. Next is a photo of the view of the west side elevation. This has some of the paint mock-ups, which I sort of zoomed in on. You got a couple whites and a black is sort of an accent color.
I'd like to interrupt. We discussed the colors, and the color that we chose originally was the white on the left. There was a vote for black, or an opinion about black. Me personally, I like the two-tone cement board. I thought it looked great, but that's just the primer color on the cement board itself. So the actual color will be the white on the left.
Is the black the trim color?
The black is the entrance.
It's at the
Oh,
entry,
okay.
it
I was
matches the
wondering why.
storefront.
It's only at
Fun
the
to paint over
vestibule
it.
at the entrance. I don't know why they even put it
It's
there.
gonna take 10 coats to cover that thing.
Yeah. We've asked them to extend the mock-up.
I think something else to mention is in the weekly inspections, we found a couple of problems with windows, and they're Pella windows, I believe, And the Peller manufacturer's representative has come back to check the windows, and he's been asked by Vertex and also M. O'Connor to check every window. While he's there, we might as well have the expert manufacturer check the windows, because there's a couple of windows that are a little tough to open and a few other problems that the manufacturer should be correcting and probably substituting new windows for.
We've also asked the contractor to extend those mock-ups of the colors, so we can take another look at them.
So we're gonna get more black?
No, we'll take a look at the two ends.
One side white, one side off-white.
These two.
Yeah, we wanna have the trim.
So that's, and then the photo on the right is just sort of the progress. This goes back a couple of weeks of the front of the building.
Lot of curbing.
And the
It'll go
ready to
quick
go.
though.
The curbing's on site,
I can do 600 feet a day, they'll move.
And then-
more than the curbing at the senior center, and
For a while.
the town hall is supposed to be done after the senior center, and there's still a professional race going on that nobody will admit to, that the OPM at the town hall would like to be done before the senior center, so we'll see what happens.
But they're supposed to be done by Labor Day, right? Or
Hmm?
4th of July, what's substantial on the town hall?
That was on.
Was it August?
Yeah, and then full is
November?
mid-November.
Yeah, so we're
November
gonna
12th.
maybe be completed at the same time.
So, schedule look ahead for the town hall, pretty much the same things. Continue the interior wall framing, complete the vaults, continue with the spray, and probably some pad insulation. And the exterior walls, continue with sheet rock, continue with the MEPFP rough-ins, complete siding and trim, start the exterior painting, weather permitting, complete the west stair, concrete, start retaining walls and pads, and then continue this septic system and site work. Other issues at the town hall, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. We did get some furniture pricing. There was a couple options. First option was for new furniture, except reusing existing file cabinets and lateral files in storage rooms, because Chrisana did an inventory of furniture that may be reusable. So that option was $514,348. Option 2, to go all new, which is only $80,000 increase, is for everything, including those back storeroom cabinetry to be new. I did forward those to the Furniture Selection Committee, and which we just got this last week. And I did talk to Mike about it. I know he has another meeting tonight, so he wasn't gonna make it. So, but I just wanna let the committee know that that's being reviewed.
What was the budget, Steve?
The budget we had was $468,000. Okay. But we do have, our budget is again, is good for the town hall, as far as contingencies go.
Question.
Yeah, right.
Reusing these items, how old are these items? Because I'm always nervous of that, because file cabinets, they may be fine today, but then when they start
I think.
breaking down, I don't know.
They're all
In
pretty
the
old.
discussions that outside, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Yeah, they're all pretty old. I don't remember the last time they bought anything new.
Yeah,
As far as
I'm just
file
nervous about keeping them, and then
The-
6 months
the-
from now, a year from now, they wanna buy them new.
The
Yeah.
discussion that
Worked
went,
it both ways.
Yeah.
the discussion that went on is, it's a new building, everybody expects all new furniture, versus the economics and saving money, that a lot of these will be out of public view, and there's really no reason, if they're using them today and they're working satisfactorily, why, if they're behind the scenes, why can't they? Steve had brought up the fact that, and I don't know, this is still under there's a separate committee that I'm not involved in, because they want to make some progress. That Steve had discussed spray painting the old stuff and making it look new. I don't know if they're bringing that up, but, you know, my feeling is if it's behind the scenes and nobody's seeing it, they're using it today and it's not falling out of the runners or they didn't drop something on it, then why can't they use it and save the town money? That's like I had a question about these chairs, I believe after that, you know, some people want to throw these chairs out, and I'm going, they're perfectly good chairs, why are we gonna throw them out? We could store them in this building, and if all of a sudden the senior center needs 50 chairs for something, we've got 50 chairs in storage somewhere, but that's up to the powers to be after the fact. But as far as this furniture goes.
If I can add to that, a lot of the file cabinets, even though they're behind the scenes, are 25, 30, 40 years old. And just because they might function fairly properly doesn't mean they're not gonna fail fairly soon. And that's gonna be another expense that's coming along. These chairs here, I mean, they look brand new. I mean,
Some of them.
They look in very good condition, so I think it's a whole different thing.
And one thing about the cabin,
These,
So we're not at the phase of value engineering anymore, we have a good contingency left, so where did option one even come up? Like, who even suggested that? Or why was it suggested? It's not like we're, you know.
Well, I think
Just due
in that we're
diligence.
trying to save money to the taxpayers, if there's a way to save money, which we're getting, I got blasted by somebody and I can't remember who, and I was gonna bring it up later, but I'll bring it up later. We're just trying to save, I mean, I know it's only $80,000, but it's $80,000.
So what we did with the,
I think that's up to the furniture committee, I'm sure that,
Are you on?
No.
okay.
Select Board Hornsby is on that committee. We've already heard what his input is, so, you know, I just feel we'll let the committee do what the
Yes.
committee wants, whatever they feel is best.
Yeah, I agree. And-
I just worry about an expense, you know,
Down the
2,
road.
3, 4 years from now.
I mean-
That's my worry, because now, I mean, you get it now, and you don't have to worry about it for a certain amount of time. And if those current ones are still fairly functional, you know, the town can have a yard sale and sell them all off, you know.
I mean, they're beyond their useful life. Why do you want to keep
They're
them?
beyond that's the perfect.
Exactly.
well, the one thing about furniture is you can't just throw it away, you do have to advertise it for,
Yeah.
you know, because it's
30 feet.
municipal.
Yeah.
You have to put out, you have to advertise it that you're having
An auction.
an auction or some kind of a quote unquote.
Yeah, raise some money for, you know, for the library, or for, you know, something else, or for the senior center.
And if you know, it may end up going into.
Well, the thing is, you're not gonna have, you have the money set aside through the debt exclusion for this furniture. 10 years down the road, if you find, whoops, you're not gonna have any more, if the project may close out, you're not gonna have that money available.
Exactly.
You're gonna have to pay for it.
That's my point.
You know, capital or whatnot, and, or expense money. And I will say at the high school, what we did is we repurposed a lot of the furniture that we replaced in the other schools. We picked the best, and then we advertised it in other surrounding school districts, came and took some of the remaining cabinets, chairs, all of this stuff. And we can look at repurposing some of these in other parts of the town, within the town, you know, for storage. Cabinets, you always need cabinets for old storage, even in this building. I don't know what this building's gonna turn into after we move out of it, but I would rather replace them new and then repurpose the old stuff if it's, still has some useful life, but,
I think it's best to leave it up to the furniture committee and let them come back with their recommendation, and we can end this discussion and move on.
Great.
Okay.
Next item, just IT network pricing, when we're pricing up some of the other items that are gonna be furnished by the owner. The town council was just looking for some backup documentation for that, but we're close to getting that resolved. Schedule-wise, Emilcon actually sent in a schedule update with a 3-week schedule slip due to wet building condition and the remediation that was required. We did send comments back rejecting that as a delay, and the inferred time extension. They didn't ask for it, but they were inferring that they would need that. Inclement weather is not a reason for a time extension. So, and since it was their issue to begin with. The only other issue is existing town hall demolition. Seems like it's been a big topic. What we're doing at this point is we're going to review the cost versus the remaining budget. I've asked Ed to come up with some design fees for taking the demolition portion that we probably had in schematic design, if we
You
stop
got
there,
the schematic design?
and bring it up to what it would cost, not doing it, but what it would cost to bring it to a document that can be used to do demolition and the subsequent reconstruction, because you take that entire section of town hall off, you had to build the exterior wall.
And reroute all of the MEP infrastructure that's in
And
the building.
then do additional abatement and additional parking lot work. So,
Can you, Chairman, can they take and figure out what it would cost 10 years down the road to take that side of the building off?
You can go escalation costs.
Just an estimate.
let me finish
Estimate.
the direction I was going with on this. So, right now, the only thing that's part of Emma Connor's contract is to take the food pantry off the building and close that up. That's what's included right now. And the reason that we made that revision back during design is because we got the estimates back and we were over budget on the total allocation for the appropriation for the project. So we deleted it. We did get some good pricing on the bid. We had to make sure that we were getting to the point where we had enough money for change orders, because we did hit a bunch of rock out there. But what we want to do is get it to the point where we can potentially ask M. O'Connor for a price for doing that demolition work and reconstruction, because I did check, the cardinal change rule doesn't apply on this, because we're not doing anything drastically different from the original scope of the project. We're doing demo on the building, we're just extending it. And I did check Attorney General's office, and their rule of thumb is not to go over 20% in change orders of the total construction project, which is about $3 million in this case. So those two things were of concern just from a procurement point of view. Now, the only thing that is left is, do we have the money in the budget to do that? And we want to look at that, because then it'll come back to this committee to decide whether we want to pursue it or not. And it may be the fact that even though we have a good contingency and there may be money left over, it does not cover demolishing that town hall and building that wall. So,
That help, I'll
Go ahead.
go first, I have the prerogative. This whole issue came up at a finance committee meeting, I believe. Somebody asked the question, I got the email, in that we have public meetings once a month and everybody knows what's going on, and some people do pay attention. And I'm not an accountant and I'm not a bean counter, but they had figured out that the old estimate that we cut out of the budget because of escalating construction costs and we were over budget was $895,000. You know, that probably means, and again, this is pie in the sky, and you can quote me if you want, but it's pie in the sky number. So it's probably gonna be about $1 million. This person came back and said, well, you're gonna have $849,000 left over from the senior center and $682,000 left over from the town hall, comes out to $1.5 million. but we can't combine the two projects, and we're only, say, 60% into the building. We've still got 40% more to build, and who's to say there won't be, the state highway department wants a sidewalk around the whole building or whatever. No, I know that's not gonna happen.
No, they
But,
might.
you know, I tried to give this person back the facts and figures, and I got some answers from Mike Units about, you know, we can't combine the products. Yes, the town hall came in $880,000 under bid. So somehow they were figuring in the underbid money because the town approved a bigger amount. So technically, they think we have the $880,000 that was the underbid, but we haven't finished the project.
Correct.
And I tried to explain that to the person. I went back and forth for a weekend, not being an expert, not being an architect, and not being a bean counter. I never heard anything back from it, because one of my nemesis says that all I am is hearing chirping in the woodwork, but I happen to try to solve some of the problems, and I haven't heard anything more from the finance committee, or Mike, or anybody else. I did go to one of our construction meetings and express to Steve to start thinking about what happens if we have to demolish the whole town hall. And I have been saying since we cut it out of our budget, that I would prefer to have it demolished in $2,024 than in $2,035, because it's gonna be a lot more. But again, just seeing in the paper tonight about how the override went down in flames for the school department, I don't think we're gonna get any more money, or probably not get any more money out of the town for our projects. So when we sell the furniture from all these buildings, we'll have a lot of money. But, go ahead, Brian.
I just think you open a Pandora's box. It's gonna in my opinion, it's gonna cost you way more than $1.5 million. That's just my opinion.
Why?
It's just old. I'm telling you, I've worked in old buildings, and once you get your head above the ceiling, all bets are off. There's all kinds of hidden stuff. You don't know how many layers of what they concealed. They could put drywall over asbestos for all we know. Is anybody here when they built it? Probably not.
If any building's concealing something, it's that.
It's that one, that's what I'm saying. I think it's Pandora's box. I'm completely against it. Leave it alone until you get the right
thing
money.
that we'd like to find out, and as best as we can, what the cost would be. But, you're right, we'd still have to have a contingency upon that change order for unforeseen conditions, especially hidden hazardous waste.
The
Exactly.
utilities and the
The
asbestos.
utilities,
Those are the two
And,
big.
and I think what this person brought up was, and what probably one of the new member, I don't like throwing people under the bus, but he's not a member yet, so I'll throw him under the bus. I think what Mr. Kimball will bring up is the fact, and this person that communicated with me, is we came into town with our snake oil and sold them a bill of goods. After the sale, and after them putting down a down payment on the car, we decided not to put the roof on, give them a convertible. We started reneging on what's inside the project. But part of the sale to the town was the fact that the old town hall is gonna fall down around everybody. And Mike is not, well, Mike might be here. Mike is just drooling at the mouth, wanting to use that for storage. And we keep telling him, no, it's not gonna be used for storage. Hopefully, it'll destroy itself if it does. I mean, it'll be like the Elm Street, Reed and Barton building, maybe fall down for us instead of doing it. But, I mean, we went out and sold this, and Dinah O'Brien reminded me of it. We sold it to the town that the old town hall, A, doesn't have an occupancy permit, never has, and B, the building inspector went in and took 100 pictures of all the cracks, the leaks, the heating and everything else. So do we maintain an unsafe building for 15 years, or do we knock it down now? And I think it's gonna become a big brouhaha. Brian, do you have
You
something?
know, back to the storage comment, I don't even know if that could be permitted or occupied as a storage building, because the hazard's much higher for storage than it is building, business use.
It's
So-
very complicated.
Yeah, it's very, very complicated. I'm telling you, opening Pandora's box, but that's just my opinion.
Well, the chairman of the board of selectmen, with this proposal we brought before the taxpayers in this town,
Hold on, Sandy.
I will tell you that, as a chairman myself, in my effort to sell the project, I discussed a lot about the issues that are in that building. Mold, mildew, there's old buildings down, there's old showers downstairs. We've ripped out the old police station section. It's totally destroyed now. We sold that. We made $2,000 on it. A lot of issues are down there in that building. To create another storage area in an area that's already contaminated, the air quality is terrible in there. We've got filtration systems in the building trying to maintain it. It's not good. I know it's an old building, an old gymnasium, been there forever and ever, from the college across the street, the Pines College. But as a taxpayer, I will tell you that my impression all along, and I don't know what's been discussed in the back halls of the town hall or anywhere else, but the problem I have with it is, we sold this whole project on the back of the fact that that building had to come down, whether it be 2024 or whenever. My concern is, when they move into these pristine new buildings, this one particular, but the town hall, all the stuff that nobody wants to deal with is gonna be left in that basement over there for eternity, until the state comes in and says, this air quality, the building's terrible, you've got issues, you've got open plumbing down there, you've got all kinds of stuff going on. We're gonna end up having to pay for it. And Mike Eunice is gonna be long retired. I may be dead for all I know. But I will tell you this, you know, we sold this whole project on the fact that that building was coming down to expand our parking. And if we renege on that now, and God forbid we have to go back and ask for more money, we're gonna get a lot of heat, we're gonna get a lot of heat over it. And I think it's important for us to focus on the fact that that building has been, always will be contaminated. And we've gotta do something about it. And to allow people to still go in there and use it for an exercise room or for storage, is gonna be a problem. Once you take down the two artillery garages from the food pantry, you're gonna have to make improvements to the building we wanna take down. Because the old hallway that goes down in there, that was all part of it at one time. That was how you got in and out of the police
That's what I
station.
wanted to comment on if I could. There is more work.
Sandy, I'll get to you.
There is more work.
Yeah, I've had to a FinCom meeting, can I just speak really, really quick?
Yes.
So, to my FinCom meeting. So I just wanted to say, we did talk about it last week, it came up just because we were talking about the, cost savings that were talked about with the heating, and other utilities. With the new town hall being more efficient, we would save money in utilities, with the old town hall being gone. So that's how the conversation came up, is I was asking about the savings and, and we were talking about, well, it's still gonna be there, so we're not gonna realize that savings. So that was the concern from the financial, perspective of, in addition to the other concerns that people had, I think from the finance committee perspective was that we're gonna continue to pay to, heat a building that's not being used or just being used for storage and not realize the cost savings that we thought we were gonna realize. So just wanted to add that perspective. I appreciate the other perspective too from you folks about what the other challenges are, because we definitely didn't hear, all of that. We didn't get all that information at our meeting, so I appreciate the full picture that you provided.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. Ed, I'll get to you in 2 minutes.
Go ahead.
The back and forth I had with this particular person, and I'll take offense to what Mr. Kimball said about behind the scenes stuff. I think people realize I'm pretty transparent about what goes on. Sometimes Steve rolls his eyes because I'm too transparent, because he figures the lawyers from the contractors are watching this. They don't have anything better to watch than they're really sorry people.
To be clear, I didn't, it was not aimed at you. If you took it that way, that's up to you, but it wasn't aimed that way. It was
So-
aimed
so-
at the people who run this town, not you guys, who we sold a package to that changed the rules after I left. And
Right.
I don't know what happened.
But you
I
did,
know how it- that's
you
all I
did make a
know.
comment about behind it. Irregardless,
Keep the door
we
closed.
told the person, I'm an old guy, I have to stay on track of what's going on. Quit waving your hands, George. So irregardless of what happened, we found out that the town did not publish all the minutes from all our meetings. Mark went back and sent me five meetings that were not on the town website, which included the votes on the demolition, how they turned out and what went on. Also, interesting to note on the last minutes that I copied and sent to this person is we had three liaisons that were attached to this committee. They were not present at most of these meetings. The select board's liaison never made the first, well, he made the first ones, and they made somebody else. I'm not gonna go into name calling over that, but select board people didn't make it. The school committee people came a couple of times, they haven't been since. Sandy's been in off and on, so, I mean, it's not like this was, to me, this was not a big secret. It was out there in the public purview. It was definitely, I know I've spoken up about it at probably every other meeting. So anything that went on behind the scenes didn't go on. Everything was out in the public, and we just progressed on to get the town the best buildings we could for the best price. And we were worried about escalation and everything else. So Ed, you're next up, and then Brian.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was what I was gonna say to start with. Second thing is, we always thought it was a great idea to take that building down, for all of the reasons you stated. But the cost is what prohibited us from moving forward with it past schematic design. Brian sort of alluded to it, that building is a tangled web of infrastructure because it was there before the fire station was built. Some of the utilities still come into that building and serve both sides. Things were added and modified 1,000 times over the years, and we have to basically peel that onion back to figure out what needs to stay to keep the fire station running, which is not a small task, number one. Number two, as Steve mentioned, we do need to build a new exterior wall on that end once the building comes down. The site work, we were able to actually increase the parking count without taking that land into the project, so I think that was a positive. We did gain more parking without that land, so that is a buffer zone for future work, I think is important for the town. The other thing, in the base bid contract with the current contractor, the demolition of food pantry is one of them, but we did keep that ramp and stair that served the basement. We need that as another means of egress out of that space. We are replacing the roof on that because it's compromised. And we are doing some patching and repair to the masonry wall sort of above and around that area there, just to make sure it's intact, and repainting it all. So there's a little bit of scope in this project now that would not necessarily need to move forward if the building comes down, but, you know, it's not a lot of work. It would help to offset the cost a little bit, but it's not gonna be a giant. And we did have a bead on the extent of the asbestos abatement that was necessary after the report was generated, so there's a lot of issues with that. And bottom line is, if, when we come back with all of these numbers, if there's a way to even go back to try and revisit this relative to reapportioning with a new warrant, maybe that's something the town wants to consider between the two funds. I don't know.
Brian?
It matters, it depends on how important it is to the town.
Brian? you
Well,
had-
first of all, I think we all agree that it's not in good shape, something should be done with it, but for a lot of the reasons we all talked about, it had to be cut out of the budget. There's also a rumor, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought the fire department wanted to use that for something at some point in time.
They're using when they built the fire station, they also built on the end of the fire station. If you go into town hall, you'll notice there's two corridors that
Yeah.
run parallel.
So they wanted-
The corridor closest to the fire station is the new part of the building.
Correct.
So the old part of the building is on the tax collector's side and the town manager's side.
Correct.
So they attached the new building to the old building. The fire department wants to use the town hall part that's part of the new building. They don't, well, I don't know if they don't, they
That's where it
probably
gets-
would like
that's where
to,
it
but
gets
they're,
But none
they
of
were
that
never,
reuse is
they
part
were
of our
never in the
plan.
plan, they were never in the plan to use the old part. They do wanna use the new part
Okay,
of the town hall that was built with the fire station.
so it sounds like there's three parts.
Did I
Fire
miss
station and
anybody
in
back
between
here?
and the town hall.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, but to
Kevin.
separate them is the tricky part.
Kevin,
So I was emailed from the former select board liaison to this. He was trying to do some research himself, and I think he found out that it was June. Now, I was not on the committee at the time, but it was June 2022 that you guys took that vote, which, the only thing I can say now is, looking at where we are today, I think it was the right decision, because we would have zero contingency right now. We would probably be $200,000 in the hole. So and we still have 60% of the project left to do. So all of these items, these change orders, we would not have been able to fund, and any future ones we would not be able to fund. So from a financial perspective, you guys made the right decision. I think if there's money left over, to Ed's point, both projects were bundled under one debt exclusion vote. Perhaps when we close out both projects together, a year from now, perhaps the selectmen can decide what to do with the remaining funds, given that it was in the scope of the original debt exclusion.
yeah, I think in an email that I sent the person that made the inquiry, I said that I thought that Mike Units and James, he's not the treasurer, but he's the, what?
Accountant?
The accountant,
James Poitman.
between James and Mr. Mike Units, they could work some magic on trying to figure out how to juggle the budgets and
Yeah, come on.
do it legally, but I mean, they're more at pinching the pennies and counting the peanuts and everything else than any of us are, so.
I guess, if you didn't make that decision, that tough decision, which I would imagine it was a tough decision, we would all be completely handcuffed right now, moving forward with the project. We would be continuing to value engineer out aspects of this town hall today.
Say cost cut.
Okay, Steve Hornsby?
So in the interest of kind of moving this meeting forward, I would say, you're gonna get a price on potentially removing that, and then we can go from there. I mean, we can talk to the town manager and the town accountant and see if it's something that's first of all legal to do, if we combine those funds, and we can go from there. I think, but we're not gonna get this done tonight, so.
Do you, one thing to add to that, I agree with his approach. The only problem is the pricing we're gonna get is if we give a change order to them now. We can't wait till the end to what's the word?
Well, reconcile
the money. We're
Yeah.
gonna have to go out to bid again. And then we're gonna spend more money, because it'll be 2 years from now.
My perspective is we need to find out how much that is, how much it's gonna be. If it's gonna be $10 million to take the building down,
Yeah.
then it's a hard no.
Exactly.
If it's gonna be, a
1.5,
million,
yeah.
then maybe there's some wiggle room there, and then we can work it out. But we can't do anything until we know that number.
Oh, that's true.
And that's half the reason I asked Steve, and I don't know if I went to the architects or not, but to start the ball rolling, because I am the first one to admit that nothing has moved swiftly. Let's name a couple of telephone poles and a transformer to begin with, in this process. So they're halfway down the road, they will get back to us. I know we only meet once a month, but I think it can at least wait till next month, and we'll see what number they give us, and we can spend another 2 hours debating it. Are there any other questions? Yes,
I'm going
Bob?
to ask one question. Is it possible at some point in time, when the building's safer for the senior center, to take the COA folks through it?
Through the
Good
town
boy.
hall.
No,
Senior
through
center.
through the
Oh,
senior
through
center,
senior
yeah.
Yeah. We can do that. I think,
And you let us know when it's
yeah,
safe
a
to.
few things need to get out of the way,
Yeah.
but it's getting to that, like I said, sheetrock is up there, the painter's in there, you really get a good look at what it's gonna look
It's
like.
closed.
Plus,
down.
I know walking in that front before it wasn't, it's not too good.
not
Yeah.
that easy.
So is that
Kinda like
something
that.
soon that could happen?
They don't wanna stay.
Well, I
Are we
think,
talking May or April?
Spring makes it worse.
For that.
Muddy.
End of April, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, because throwing somebody else under the bus, which is one of the favorite things I do, when we were, no, it's not gonna be you, Bob, this
No, it
time.
won't be me, no.
When we were walking through with the president of New England Ice Cream, we had another member of the senior council with us, and he had a very difficult time walking through. And this is a construction site, and Steve has told me numerous times, because I've had people ask me, I will say that a person who is running for state rep asked me to go through the site tomorrow, and I refused him because I know that it's a construction site. We want to keep it closed as a construction site. I know everybody, like I said, everybody thought the building was going to be open when the fence blew down. And it's not happening, and I think people have to realize that. You will get to see the building when the building is built. There's nothing that's going to change, and doing tours makes people have to stay overtime. It actually has some indiscriminate costs in it, and plus the liability. Technically, we don't own the site. It's a construction site owned by the contractors. And I know that's more than what Steve probably wanted me to say, but
That's all true.
It's true.
it is what it is. Is there anybody else going once,
I think we'd be-
going twice?
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Steve.
Where are we on the minutes?
Change
You're
order.
all
All
done?
set, yeah.
Did we go over the change orders?
Yeah, there's not much change with this.
Okay. I didn't know.
This is basically the same page as before.
Couple of things I want to say is, we're trying to hold the site guy at the senior center. For some reason, he likes to start work at 3 in the afternoon, and everybody's off the site by 2:30. Things have changed in the 21st century. People start working at 6:30, not at 8 o'clock,
The trades.
and they go home at 1:30, not
Say
at
first thing this
4:30.
morning. One day in a row.
You know, the site guy is nowhere close to what the town hall site is. And the other thing, when we're talking change orders, it irks me no end, but I got an email from Ray Cord about the internet from the PD getting switched over to the town hall, because all the town's internet goes through the PD or something. Again, I am just a civilian and have no clue what I'm talking about, but I get these emails, and I asked Steve about it, and Steve says it is included in our bid specs, so it's not gonna be a change order or an added cost. Oh, you just rolled your eyes.
No, the vendor sent his quote in and had the spiel on the police department, which he had separated out. I questioned it, and he came back and said, I put that in there on my own. So my response back to everybody was, that's fine, if it's something that's needed and wanted, you can do it, but it's not gonna be charged to the town hall funding. It can be the technology fund or the PD building ops or whatever it is. That was my response. I haven't really got an answer yet, but, and it's easily, I mean, he's got it broken out so he can fairly easily pluck it out and say, this will go to another cost code, but this will go to the town.
Okay, let's talk about our next meeting.
Well, before we get to that, we're having a walkthrough tomorrow, right?
Correct, yes.
You mentioned.
And Mark, in his due diligence, did give a meeting notice to the town manager so that we will be legal with the Attorney General, because she has nothing else to do but look at towns and see that they're meeting illegally. She can't figure out the immigrants, but she'll figure out what we're doing. What's the dates here, or I'll keep
22nd.
talking.
22nd or 29th.
of April. Who's gonna be in jail for not filing their taxes on the 15th?
I think we got an extra day.
I paid mine today.
Preferably, I don't have my calendar with me, let's go for the 29th.
Okay, done.
29th going once,
Sold.
21, sold already to the man with the bald head. If I've insulted anybody, I apologize. I threw a lot of people under the bus, but I'm very transparent, and that's what you get out of me. And if you're insulted, you can look up my address and throw stones on my front lawn. I prefer.
Don't invite that.
I prefer seed because I have a new lawn, but anybody have a motion before I go way off the, for adjournment? Bob, a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
So moved, thank you very much, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.